Welcome, fans, to another great episode of Gambit Souls. I know I haven't done a video in a while, and, circumstances have been a little wiry and testy and everything else. So, I'm going to get right to it tonight. I have to comment on Truth Slayer. Somebody said you're not a wrestling fan. Well, in all honesty, you're more than a wrestling fan. See, a true pro wrestling fan won't only criticize what they see from their wrestlers, but everything they do. Everything about the company that they work for. And this goes for anybody. This goes for Jeff Hardy lovers, Matt Hardy lovers, Big Show lovers, everybody. Plain and simple. What makes a true wrestling fan is somebody who will get up. If they have a computer, they'll search for hours just looking for a wrestling match from a company they may not even have ever heard of, or may even be checking out something one of their wrestlers did from old times. For example, yesterday I went and checked out some of the old shit from CM Punk and found a tape of him and Maria when they were talking about Chad Gaspar. Now hold it. Chad Gaspar, ain't he in Crime Time? So if he was in Crime Time and CM Punk knew him beforehand, So that's just the biggest thing that I want to say. So, Truth Slayer, you are a wrestling fan. Proud to have a wrestling brother upon the comrades that I have met so far, such as Crazy Mike 1706. Make sure everybody that checks this video, look him up. He's in my subscribes. He's great. You definitely got to listen to what that man has to say. And shameless plug, sorry. But I got a plug for Truth Slayer as well, too. And Duck ECT. Both of them, great other guys. Love what they have to say. Pretty knowledgeable and everything else. So getting on to my list. Sorry, I had to make a list of topics I wanted to talk about. Okay, first of all is WWE or TNA sucks. Which one sucks, which one doesn't? Now, if you ask me anymore, they're both sucking. WWE's wanting to get away from the chair shots and stuff like that, and I do have to say TNA made a right call by getting rid of that 6-sided ring and going back to the classic 4-style sided ring. Definitely aren't using their talents in the way they should. Same as Vince. And as for NXT, Daniel Bryan is a good wrestler, but if he wins NXT, I will not watch it no more. Because I don't think he's that good of a wrestler. No offense to any of you Daniel Bryan fans out there. I think the guy working with Matt Hardy has a little more talent and a little more crazier and everything else, and that's what WWE needs, is more high flyers. Because as of right now, the only high flyers they got, Matt Hardy, Kofi Kingston, and Evan Bourne. Now, the next thing I want to get into, what makes a good pro wrestling match? Good storyline. Good backfeed. Usually if the wrestlers know each other pretty well, move-wise, have worked with each other in the past, somewhere along the lines, hence Chad Gaspar and CM Punk, that makes for a good storyline. That makes for a good match. So, That's just what I think. If anybody else has any other opinions, please feel free to voice them. Now, for the John Cena haters or lovers, I'm not that big of a fan of the man in the ring, but I do have to say, and I know this for a fact, he wasn't doing this for publicity or anything, just because my father was down in the area. John Cena flew into Baltimore just to go visit a sick kid. No money behind it, anything else, no publicity. I just happened to see him getting out of the car, going into the hospital, carrying a teddy bear, and everything else. So, I have to say that man has a huge heart for his fans, kids, and everything else. So, whether you love him or hate him, you gotta respect that he does a lot for kids and everything else. So, love him or hate him, at least respect the man. Next thing is, how should we rate? I say we should rate wrestling matches on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 categories. Entrance, storyline, how much time they had for the storyline. If it was a quick storyline, such as the match thrown together here recently, CM Punk and Rey Mysterio, if that turns out to be a great match, good. I'm proud of it because, you know what? Quick storyline, not much time. They can really pull something off with that. That's how we should be rating. None of this 5.6 and shit like that. Sorry. That just makes no sense to me. The other thing is I want everybody else's opinions. Who should TNA be pushing? And why? And who should WWE be pushing? And why? Next thing I want to get into is bookers and promoters. I've dealt with quite a few of them. They have some of the hardest jobs. Not only getting the talent to show up and everything, but, stuff like that. Their time, their money goes into the stuff to get stuff set up. And if it turns out to be a crappy event, it turns out to be a crappy event. Only end up costing them money. Unfortunately, what I'm trying to do tonight apparently is going to take more than one recording, so I'm going to go the whole almost 11 minutes with this. Continuing this list I got. Okay. Next thing I was checking out, dealing with the Chris Benoit thing, looking into the past and everything else. Now, this is what it said. Fact check. Wrestlers' deaths. Since 1997, there's been 1,000 pro wrestler deaths, 45 and younger. 65 wrestlers died heart-related deaths. 25 were definitely dead by heart attack. 50 from 25 up were from steroid use, and 12 deaths from others. Now, other drugs. Now, that sounds like a far cry from 1,000 people right there. You know what? People die for different reasons. Earthquake, bladder cancer. Can you blame that on steroids? I don't think so. I mean, I may be wrong. Who knows? That could be something to look into. I don't know. What's your opinions? They say the wellness program is stronger than ever. The thing that pisses me off, and this is the whole reason I got into this, has to do with Kurt Angle after Benoit's death, and they said it was due to steroids and everything else. Kurt Angle couldn't just tell Vince he wanted out of his contract and buy himself out of the rest of his contract. He had to go and lie to Vince and tell him that he was hooked on drugs and needed out of his contract to go to rehab and everything else. That, to me, is scum. Especially since now he's saying he's for the soldiers. No. You don't tell a company that you're on drugs to get out of a contract to go wrestle for another company and then say you're all for the soldiers. Alright guys, I'll be back in the next installment, part 2.